Stinky cigars. Stinky cigars. There's no place on Earth and no place on Mars that's as happy as stinky cigars.
Welcome back to the Advent Calendar House. A salute to all holiday specials. That's it. All of them. And all of their mascots, who apparently all live together according to today's topic. So let's go back to the ancient year of our Lord 2014 and find out how Murray saved Christmas. I am suffering from superficial fractures of my little baby toes, Mike Westfall. Almost didn't get that one out. And joining me is Queen Hannah of Banana Land themselves. Please welcome back Michael DiGiovanni. Hello, DiGio.
Hello, Mike. I'm perfectly shibble and ready to glibble.
Perfect. And he's got a lot of problems with you people, and now you're going to hear about... Oh, wait, sorry, that's the wrong show. Please welcome back Donnie Storms. Hey, Donnie.
Hi, Mike. It is true. I do have lots of problems with lots of people, but I'll try to keep my commentary confined to the Christmas special today.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Well, Mr. DiGiovanni, you've been very patient with me, and we've finally gotten to it. So now, I must ask, how did you find this?
You know what? I don't remember. It must have been back in the old terrestrial TV days. Remember the old days of 2014 when people had cable? I stumbled upon this somehow. When you get around the holidays, I'm always game to watch new specials. Everyone has the traditions of going back and watching your faves, but I've always got my eye out for, okay, when are they, who's developing a new special that me and the family can watch. And I stumbled upon this one, and it's become a bit of an annual tradition for me, and especially my kids like it. That is one thing, and that's another reason why I kind of watch it annually. And it's here you have this excellent show, the Advent Calendar House podcast, where you delve into the greats and the obscure and the not so greats Christmas specials. I think I've been on a few of those not so great ones. But I've been asking for you to do this for, I think we were talking back in the Advent Calendar green room here, 2-3 years I've asked for this?
I think the first time you mentioned it was way back in 2018 when we were talking about the Grinch.
That's right. Imagine me doing those like Wayne's World finger things as we do like a flashback now.
We can do that.
When Murray Saved Christmas. I don't know if anyone ever watched that.
I'm not familiar with that one.
Jason Alexander's a voice. Jerry Stiller is in it. He's the lead character. He plays Murray.
Jerry Stiller's the main character.
He's the main character. He plays Murray. And it's very funny. I would plug that right now. I would watch it. It's become one that we watch every year. It's Murray Saves Christmas, I believe is the title of it.
Nice. I'll check that out.
On the to-do list. How Murray Saved Christmas. Here we go.
But the reason I think I wanted you to do this one is for a couple reasons. One, it's this sort of like a love letter to Christmas specials in a weird way. It's extremely postmodern, but most of all, it's just completely bizarre.
Yeah. Donnie, you mentioned this was sitting on your DVR. How did you hear about this special?
Okay, so kind of like Michael there. I'm a connoisseur of everything Christmas. I like Christmas more than I like most people. If it's Christmas, I will buy it. It's the easiest way. Like, I have so many Funko Pops now because they were just like, hey, it's the Christmas version of this thing you already have. And I'm like, well, gotta own it. My Christmas tree has been up for over the last 364 days. It's still up. It's not coming down. I've just decided it's a staple of my house.
Good.
So, when I saw the listings, every Christmas, I'll check the listings and see what new things are coming on, like Michael does. And I saw this one pop up. And so I was like, never heard of it. Sounds fun. I'll go ahead and record it. And so I did. And it's just been sitting on there. I'm like, I've watched it before. I've watched it a couple times, but never really thought anything of it until, of course, Michael started badgering Mike to run the special for it. I discovered yesterday, actually, that the version I have on my DVR is a 30-minute truncated, cut out as much of the offensive stuff as they can version of the special. And so, yeah, so this afternoon I had to go back and watch the full version. Thank God for the video streaming site that's not YouTube.
It rhymes with Schmaley Schmotion.
Yes, Daily Motion, yes. I didn't know if we were trying to save our specials from not being dumped off of the internet. So I found a version on Daily Motion and went back and watched it, and it blows my mind just how much of it was cut. Which, you know, I'll get to when we're actually talking about it. But yeah, I actually messaged Mike yesterday, and I said to him, I said, I'm super excited to talk about the best Simpsons episode that's not a Simpsons episode. So yeah, that pretty much covers my history with this special. It's just some random thing that I have sitting on my DVR with the likes of Scoot and Cassie's Christmas Adventure and also Buster and Chauncey's Silent Night. So that tells you the deep cuts that I have saved on my DVR.
Well, I'm writing those down for later because I haven't heard of either of them.
Yeah.
And I hadn't heard of this one until Djo brought it up. I completely missed this when it first aired. Debuted December 5th, 2014 on NBC. It's a 2D animated special written by Mike Rice, one of the original writers and showrunners of The Simpsons, and co-creator of The Critic. And as soon as I saw that, everything about this special just clicked for me because the writing throughout this whole thing seemed very 90s to me.
Yeah, as soon as you hear that credit, it all starts to make sense. This thing really leans into the, using air quotes, Simpsons of it all. Like you can tell what Mr. Rice was doing. This is based off of a couple children's books that he also wrote.
Yes.
But the special itself is trying to embody that sort of Simpsons and, you know, to a lesser effect, The Critic kind of humor template.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm glad you mentioned the book. It's adapted mostly from the book also entitled How Murray Saved Christmas from 2004 that Rice wrote, and it's mostly faithful to them. A lot of the jokes and the rhymes are pulled straight from this book, like the line, there were dolls that said mama and dolls that said goo, dolls that make music and dolls that make poo. That's on page 1 of the book.
Going in hot.
Almost this entire special is told in rhyme, by the way. Narrated by Dennis Haysbert.
North of the North Pole and south of the stars lies a quaint little village called Stinky Cigars. The name is so awful that folks pass right by it. It's a trick that we use to keep our town quiet.
The Allstate guy.
That's okay. That's your go-to for Dennis Haysbert?
That's my go-to for Dennis Haysbert.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you have a different one, Djo?
Yeah, I think of him as 24 president.
Okay. See, I was thinking we got 2 out of 3. I believe most people know him as the Allstate guy. One of 3 things. Allstate, 24. For me, it's Pedro Serrano from Major League.
Yeah, okay,
That's pretty good too. And I'm glad you, as the sole Canadian on this podcast, I'm glad you understood I was talking about the show 24 and wasn't miscorrectly saying he was the 24th president.
I mean, he might be a president at some point. You never know the way things are going.
Grover Cleveland was Dennis Haysbert in disguise the second time.
All this time. I like him as the narrator, and I have to say, and I'm curious about both of you fellas, if they really stick to that rhyming, as you said, Mike. Like, it goes throughout all of it. I kind of like it. I think it adds to the storybook quality to the special. It's kind of Dr. Seussian a little bit.
Yes.
They have a lot of fun with the rhyming, obviously. I didn't get burned out of that. Did you guys?
I did not, and that's mostly because talking like that is a daily occurrence for me. Little, I'm a children's librarian.
Oh, yes, that'll do it.
It's just my natural state to, when something happens a lot of times, to follow it up with a rhyme about it. I can't, of course, because I'm on the spot now, I can't think of any examples.
I know. But I was going, when's he going to rhyme? When is he going to rhyme?
Exactly. When's he going to do it?
I don't have that kind of energy. My kid just finished like a production of Seussical that they were supposed to put on last year, and then everything shut down, and they picked up again this year, and it just wrapped up. So I'm all rhymed out, man.
I mean, I blame Christmas Bride. That's another one. No, I blame Princess Bride because of the whole anybody want a peanut part. So now I just kind of do that on a daily basis. So when I see it pop up in something like this, I'm like, wow, I dig this. This speaks to me. They're speaking my language. So yeah, no, I loved it as well.
Oh, I think it's totally charming. I think it only adds to all of this. It actually might make it better than what it would have been if it didn't rhyme. So it absolutely adds that extra charm to it. It has that Grinch sort of feel, which I think is what made you bring it up when we were talking about the Grinch 3 years ago.
This does not work if it doesn't rhyme.
No,
I mean, it
not.
works. It might work, but I don't think it has. I think it loses so much that you're like, oh man, this is not good if you watch it without the rhyme. The rhyme adds so much. I think it's integral to making it work as a special.
Oh yeah, a lot of the jokes depend on it, right? It's just we needed a funny rhyme. So here we go. One notable change from the book, though, is the titular Murray's last name. In the TV special, he's Murray Weiner, spelled like Wiener, but it's pronounced Weiner, so it can rhyme with diner, which he owns. In the book, he is Murray Kleiner to make the same rhyme. I don't know why they did that.
Yeah, what I'm trying to even imagine what the reason could have been.
I mean, I think you answered your own question. It's because it's spelled like Wiener.
Maybe that's it.
That's gotta be it.
I can understand not wanting to make it Weiner in the books, not because it looks like Wiener. Well, kind of because it does. People would probably misread it as Wiener first. Then read the next line and, diner, it must. Okay. I don't know.
Of course, we all remember that great Nickelodeon show, Weinerville.
Yes, of course. But the voice of Murray Weiner in the special is the late, great December holiday icon, Jerry Stiller.
It's such a nice place, you just want to throw up.
Everyone's happy except Murray Weiner, owner of Murray's Holiday Diner. Murray is grouchy and cranky and crabby, nasty and ghastly, obnoxious and flabby, ill-tempered, ill-natured, malevolent, and...
All right, they get it.
Yes.
Yeah, perfectly cast in my humble opinion. He's just so perfect as that cantankerous sort of like oaf that I think he's really the rock of this special for me. And I don't mean Dwayne Johnson.
Well, this was one of his last performances. I think it was this, Zoolander 2, some animated Zoolander thing, and that might have been it.
Yeah, this was very close to the end, for sure.
But right up until then, I mean, he was banging on all cylinders, and I really, really appreciate that and respect Jerry Stiller for it.
Mm-hmm.
So Murray's Holiday Diner is located in the town of Stinky Cigars, named that on purpose so no one will actually go there and discover that it's the actual home of Santa Claus and his elves, and also every other holiday mascot. And you see them all, from the Easter Bunny and St. Patrick to the Arbor Day Aardvark and Labor Day Amos.
That's one of the best parts of this is just, and after you've seen it once, is just kind of absorbing all of the other holiday stars or icons. Did you have a favorite? Because I mean, I'm glad you brought up Arbor Day Aardvark because he's pretty great.
That was going to be my next question, but my favorite is, I'm going to call him Hanukkah Wolverine. It's a guy in a superhero costume with a Star of David on his chest and a pair of menorahs that come out of his arms like adamantium claws. I want to know more about this guy. Mike Rice was raised Jewish. I want to learn more about Hanukkah Wolverine, Mike Rice.
Yeah, he's pretty great. I'm assuming the pumpkin head guy is Halloween.
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
But
I really appreciate, because I mean, this special's happening right around Christmas. He's clearly an off season because he's just wearing like a plaid shirt, pair of pants. Like he's not scary. He's like, wait till October. I mean, I completely lean into it, but I liked him, but he was so dressed down. You know what I mean?
He's got like a Hawaiian shirt. I think there were black cats on it, so it's themed, but still, it's casual day for Halloween.
So my favorite, and it's because of the fact that it's such a subtle joke, and she actually never gets named. Bastille Day.
Yep.
Like the fact that Bastille Day isn't there, they never name her, and the only reason you know that she's Bastille Day is because in the one scene she jumps up on the barricade and starts waving the French flag. And the easiest way to get my money is to make Les Mis jokes. So, it just absolutely, as soon as she jumped up, I was like, wait a minute, that's Bastille Day.
Yeah.
And that was when I paused and started naming off, like going in and finding the different characters and naming them off and trying to figure out which holidays they were. But yeah, no, Bastille Day, definitely my favorite.
That's a good pick. I counted 27, possibly 28 different holidays represented in Stinky Cigars. And maybe I'll list them in the show notes, but there are a lot of good ones. Like, we're recording this on the night of Cinco de Mayo. There's a Cinco de Mayo man in a sombrero.
Yeah.
There's an April Fool who's got on a tacky tie and mismatched socks. Santa, Easter Bunny, Arbor Day, Aardvark. There's a guy with a globe for a head named Earth Day. There's one I couldn't figure out what it was. It's just a woman in glasses wearing a purple dress and a cardigan.
It's got to be Secretary's Day.
That's what I thought.
That's what I thought too.
Call it Secretary's Day now because you can't say Secretary's Day. It's got to be.
Okay, I'm glad that you both are on the same page as me. She's just a background character. She's clearly supposed to be some holiday because everybody living in this town, besides Murray and a few others we meet, are identified, or they're elves, or they're Santa's elves. That's it. That's the only sort of people who live here. And I thought, all right, well, I'm guessing Secretary's Day, but they don't actually. The others, at least, if you can't figure it out, they have labels on them. Like there's a kid in a graduation cap and gown. There's a woman wearing a sash that says Miss Kwanzaa.
So bad.
So bad. I do really like the idea of this town, though.
Oh, yeah.
I love this strange village of just all of these people cohabitating. Like it's so really weird, but it's also a really fun idea.
The only plot hole for me in this concept, because of course it needs to have a plot hole, is like, are these really Lincoln, Columbus, and Washington? Like, did they die and their spirits went there? Are they trapped in this town?
Oh no.
Or is it just the spirit of the holiday personifies as the person? Because that's what personifies means. The spirit becomes the person, and they end up having to live out in the town. I couldn't figure that out. Like, which is it?
I'm gonna go with it's like their essence is there. The person I'm gonna like. Okay. I like your personification idea. It's that yes, Abraham Lincoln lived his life, but maybe this is his like the personification or the essence of him now is forever going to be one of these holiday spirits, if you will.
There you go.
Essence of Lincoln, also my favorite cologne.
That would be a bummer to have to live like the rest of eternity. That's your eternal reward? Hanging out in the town of Stinky Cigars with George Washington and Uncle Sam and doing Three Stooges bits?
It's a living.
No Canada Day resident, DJ.
I know. Don't even start. Yeah, this thing is pretty America focused.
Yes.
Let's just say that. Yeah,
Absolutely.
not a I mean, you can't even throw a lumberjack in there, a beaver, like come on. You can't. Where's the love for Canada here?
Bastille Day's in here. Well, what's the other? Yeah, no, that's it. That's the only other holiday that gets one. We meet all of these as Santa Claus leads the town in the official Stinky Cigars town anthem, which very much sets the tone for the whole special. And the voice of Santa, along with the Easter Bunny, who appropriately provides a hip-hop break, is voiced by Kevin Michael Richardson.
S to the T-I-N to the K-Y.
Stinky, stinky cigars.
Are either of you familiar with Kevin Michael Richardson?
I feel like I am, but I'm not placing where he's from.
He's done a lot of voice acting.
Yeah.
Two roles of his I'm most familiar with. In the movie Lilo and Stitch, he's Captain Gantu, the big shark-looking alien. And on the other end of his range, he is Cleveland Jr. from the Cleveland Show and Family Guy.
Oh, right.
So I had looked him up because I wanted to see because I recognized a lot of the background voices, and so I was like, oh well, let's see who this guy is, and found that he's been pretty much everything. If you can think of an animated project in the last, I don't know, like 10 years, he's pretty much done a voice in it. He is the new Dr. Hibbert.
Yes.
After they replaced Dr. Hibbert, he's Dr. Hibbert's voice.
Yep.
So that's fun. He's been in so many other things, just a ridiculous number of properties. So yeah, this guy's a heavy hitter.
Can we talk about the design of Santa? This is something that comes up on your show a lot, Mike.
Yes.
Where people go, what's your favorite Santa like design in all these specials? This one, I have two notes. One, he's kind of rocking the Tim Allen Santa Claus a little bit, where he's got the short hair on top and then the big long beard, which is a little not my favorite look. But did anyone else notice he had a lot of bling on? Like he had multiple rings.
He did. I did notice that. First thing I noticed, you're right, is that crew cut. He's got a very short crew cut on the head and the big long beard. But yeah, he is sporting a lot of rings on his fingers. He wants to let everybody know that he's important.
I mean, it's his right. He is Santa after all.
He is Santa.
But you're exactly right, and it is kind of different to see. I mean, it's got to be intentional because I say that because there's a point later where Santa reveals, and I don't want to jump the gun too much, where he reveals he might not be quite as jolly as we've expected him to be, but maybe it's a whole commentary on, we classically see Santa as a guy who gives out presents and gives away everything, and he has meager living space and stuff. And here's this Santa with like rings, and he's really focused on looking good and everything. Maybe it's a commentary. Maybe it's backwards on purpose.
Could be. Very good point. While we're talking about voices, I'll quickly shout out some other names credited as additional voices, but I believe I figured out a few. Maurice LaMarche is a few. He's best known as the voice of the Brain. He's a few voices here. I recognize him as Lincoln and Uncle Sam and the Woody Allen-like Groundhog for Groundhog Day.
I'm under such pressure to see my shadow and get wind over already. What if I don't see it? I mean, should I lie?
Woodsy Allen?
Woodsy Allen. Tress MacNeille is here to voice various female characters, including Bastille Day.
Liberté!
Tom Kenny, the voice of SpongeBob SquarePants. I'm pretty sure he's the Thanksgiving turkey who sounds like Paul Lynde.
Well, that killed half the day.
Is he also the April Fool's guy?
Maybe. He might be, now that you mention it.
Yahtzee.
Oh, man.
I think Billy West is the April Fool's guy.
Is he? Okay.
Because I think the April Fool's guy, and I could be wrong, but to me, I'm hearing notes of, I feel like we're doing this like we're tasting wine. I'm hearing notes of Stimpy and Fry in his voice.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Billy West is April Fool's.
It's hard because Tom Kenny does a lot of that type of voice too.
Right.
And the last one I will mention, Nick Jameson, who was another president on 24, Russian president Suvorov, and he was Palpatine in the Clone Wars. I don't know what voice he does here, but he's credited. There are a lot of elves and a lot of holidays, and I'm sure he's one of them, but I just wanted to shout him out real quick. And that's all of them, I think. And then we finally meet Murray, the grouchy owner of the Holiday Diner, a hot spot for mascots and Christmas elves alike, including, quote, an odd little fellow named Edison Elf, voiced by Sean Hayes. It's Jack from Will and Grace.
I'm Edison Elf. I'm a bit of a tinkerer.
Kid, as a tinkerer, you are a stinkerer.
I like an elf in Crocs. I'll just say that. That's my kind of elf.
So Edison is an elf who is trying to invent the next big toy. But his inventions include horse socks and a paddle ball on a string made of a tiny pizza and a meatball, which I kind of want, but not left under my tree on the living room floor. But I mean, Pizza Hut, make that. Make it a Book-It prize. Edison's big breakthrough is the Jack in the Boxer, which contains a boxing glove on a spring that he's sure kids will love. Well, Murray doesn't think so, and he tells Edison as much, adding he should show it to Santa if he thinks it's so great. So he does, and we cut to Santa's workshop, or sweatshop as the elves suggest in this next song.
Oh, we work. We work with great endurance. We never miss a day of work because we don't have health insurance.
Oh, the work. Whether you like this one or not, it does kind of get stuck in the old brain.
It is such an earworm. I found myself walking around the house this afternoon, doing my chores and stuff.
Oh, no.
And found myself singing it, and I'm like, well, that's new. I didn't expect to have that one be in my head.
You're welcome. Two favorite parts to this. One, the 1984 banners in the background that read, Santa is watching you. And two, when Santa walks in, who wants cocoa? It's $8 for large, $5 for the small.
Yeah.
This is what I mean when I say the special feels very 90s. This could have easily fit into a Golden Age Simpsons episode.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. Yeah, totally.
The line in the song that got me and made me realize just exactly why I'd only ever seen this aired exactly once was the line about how they do all the work because they're cheaper than the Chinese.
Yep.
Like I think I was watching this with my mom, and both of us, we were eating dinner, and both of us just, our mouths dropped. Like, did they really just say that?
Yeah, so, and it's the first of a few things that are going to come up where you're going to go, ooh.
Again, the most surprising part to me was that this is only 7 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is funny. It feels quite aged in a strange sense, but I agree with you. It feels like it came out in the late 90s and would have aired on Fox.
Oh yeah,
as opposed to 2014 on NBC.
Yeah, that part just blew me away. And then when I saw Mike Rice's name attached to it, that explains everything.
It's a cry for help, really, because I mean, if you've watched regular modern Simpsons, it's nothing like this.
No,
this is like 90s Simpsons.
Yeah,
and so I get the feeling that maybe they needed a creative outlet to actually do some of those jokes that they made famous, and this was it. And no, it didn't age well, but I prefer this over the lukewarm stuff that we get on The Simpsons now. So, whatever.
Sure. So we find out it's Christmas Eve. Santa's getting ready to leave. Edison Elf does approach him at this point, wanting to show off his Jack in the Boxer, which punches Santa right in the face and sends him backward into his own sleigh, causing his 50-foot-tall bag of toys to spill out onto his head. And here's where I'm expecting everyone in town, or at least the workshop, to get angry at Edison. Like, look what you did. You ruined Christmas. But that doesn't happen here.
No, it's pretty laissez-faire that like everyone is just kind of like, well, that happened again. I mean, well, there's a sign that says there's what 364 days
without an accident.
Without an accident. So you'd think that this isn't a common occurrence, but no one. You're right, Mike. That no one really makes a big deal out of this. They're just sort of like, it's almost like they kind of wanted Santa to take a fall.
Could be. Didn't think about that part.
Given the context, though, I would argue the opposite, that it actually is a common occurrence because it's been 364 days without an accident, which means the last time there was an accident was on Christmas, which means that in this town, something goes wrong every Christmas, which I think is probably supposed to be a play on how Christmas always needs saving. There's 1,000 different Christmas specials where Christmas needs saving. And so the fact that this year, Santa got punched in the face. That's how it happened this year, huh? Okay, let's move on.
And Don, you're totally right. It's that this special has one of the tried and true tropes of any kind of Christmas story where it's the subbing for Santa storyline.
Yep.
Right? Like, as you're saying, like how many, like I think every cartoon that's ever existed did an episode of this where you had to have, well, Fred Flintstone's gotta be Santa this year and the Tasmanian Devil. Like there's so many of like, this is just such a trope, but I mean, it's one that I love, but I like how you're kind of saying this probably happened last year that someone else had to do.
And the year before that, and the year before that, and so on and so forth.
There it is. Oh, that makes perfect sense now that you put it like that.
I also think it was a good way for them to work in the number of days without an accident sign, because it's in the Simpsons opening, and they just really like that joke.
That's usually played very well, and it is here too. Well, and Edison does the responsible thing and calls in the town physician, Doc Holliday, and it's Jerry Stiller's TV son, Jason Alexander.
Santa Claus is suffering from superficial fractures of his little baby toeses. His ears moved south and now his mouth is pushed up where his nose is.
I'm so glad he gets to sing. Jason Alexander doesn't get to sing often enough.
And Doc Holliday might be one of my favorite parts of this special, because his joy and just desire to do musical numbers is quite funny.
Yeah, he very joyfully diagnoses Santa in the form of a Mary Poppins rube with a slight concussion and assorted side effects. Oh, and by the way, you have to cancel Christmas. Bye!
Christmas must be canceled. That's the end of the discussion.
It's unfortunate that that's the only part, Jason Alexander is a big part of this, but he's just in here to be like, well, you gotta cancel Christmas. Here's what's wrong with him. Here's a great musical number, and he's out.
He was busy that week.
But I am so glad he's here.
And he's got a really good singing voice.
He does. He's
done theater, hasn't he?
He's done theater. If you remember the version of Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella with Brandy and Whitney Houston, he's in that. He sings a whole bit on that because he's the Duke, the King's Grand Duke. In 2004, he was Jacob Marley in the musical version of A Christmas Carol with Kelsey Grammer. You ever see that?
I've not, but now I want to.
Yes, he's in that. First time I ever saw Jason Alexander sing is in an old McDonald's commercial for the McDLT.
That I remember.
Yeah.
That I totally remember.
Full head of hair, Jason Alexander in a white 80s suit, just dancing in the street about the McDLT. It's fantastic.
I'm talking quarter pound of beef on the hot side.
And the hot stays hot.
The new McDLT.
Hot, hot.
Crisp lettuce and tomato on the cool side.
And the cool stays cool.
The new McDLT.
Cool crisp.
The beef stays hot. The cool stays crisp. Put it together, you can't resist. The hottest taste, the coolest dish.
Keep it hot, hot.
Keep it cool, cool.
McDLT, McDLT.
Hot beefy McD. Cool crisp LT. McD. LT.
It's a good time.
Hot beefy McD.
For the great taste.
Cool crisp LT.
tasting lettuce and tomato hamburger ever.
Well, next we find Edison trying to come to terms with ruining Christmas as he paces through the snow in a little circle so many times he actually paces himself into a little donut-shaped trench that he can't get out of by himself. So he uses one of his inventions, a very loud snooze alarm watch that alerts the entire town.
That's a good little gag. The walking in circles so much and making a trench.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
And I especially enjoyed the entire town showing up to send their love down the trench. Which is really what it felt like to me.
Well, it makes sense. Well, that joke worked. We'll put that in too. They all rush to save Edison, and here again is where I think, oh, now they're going to save him only to find out he ruined Christmas and get mad. But no, they're all glad he's safe. And they see Santa in a very dire state as he dances out in his underwear with bananas draped on his head and his shoulders, shouting, "I'm Queen Hannah of Banana Land."
I think Donnie's
nailed the voice, Mike. Just nailed it. That's perfect.
I actually thought that was an audio clip, in fact.
Right?
Oh, dear. Inserted into the show.
Hello, I'm Queen Hannah of Banana Land.
I'm really picking up the what Donnie said here, that I think this is a regular thing that Santa is knocked out of commission every Christmas, because no one is surprised by this. No one is upset. It feels very familiar.
Edison starts to sing a whole song about everybody getting together and working together to save Christmas, and they're all on board immediately.
Got lots and lots of problems and the time is tight. Gotta hand out all those presents by the end of the night. We got a whole lot that we gotta achieve, but you gotta believe on Christmas Eve.
It is a good song. This song, you gotta believe it's called, got nominated for an Emmy.
Yeah, this I think this is my favorite of the songs. The one thing I will say that's consistent about almost all of the music in this, though, is the songs all feel like they go on just a hair too long. Now, I don't know if that is almost intentionally a joke, because some of the characters kind of mention that, but as likable and as kind of upbeat as this You Gotta Believe is, it does feel like you go, okay, all right, end the song now. Like, it does kind of, it feels like it wears out its welcome somewhat.
Well, I think that is part of the joke, because it does end abruptly. Like you get a piano solo at the end. It's the Mardi Gras man, who's just a guy in Mardi Gras New Orleans getup, jamming on this piano. It's Little Richard in Mardi Gras makeup, basically.
Yep, I was gonna say he reminded me of a professional wrestler Johnny B. Bad.
Oh my God, that's it. That's
Good
it.
pull, bud.
Oh,
Good
wow.
pull. He'll always be Mark Marrow to me.
Which is funny, because he probably wishes he was Johnny B. Bad.
Yeah, well. Yeah, Mardi Gras man goes on this extended solo. Everybody just stops and stares at him until the Chinese New Year dragon, who's also in this, sets his piano on fire.
Chinese New Year dragon is kind of an unsung hero of this movie.
He is.
And I say that because near the beginning, there's a joke where I can't remember who it is. It's one of the holidays.
It's St. Patrick.
It's St. Patrick. Yes, you're exactly right. It's St. Patrick, and he wants his steak well done. And Murray's like, so it's underdone, huh? And he holds it up, and Chinese New Year dragon just kind of turns his head, blows fire on it, and cooks it more. And he gives it back to him, and St. Patrick's like, oh, that's perfect.
Much obliged.
I loved it because it's such a great, first of all, it's such a subtle joke, but it reminded me so much of a pull from The Simpsons. Like, that's a joke that they would have done that would have been so out of left field, given that they're normal people supposedly living in a normal town. But here it really worked as if it was just something that regularly happened.
Yep. That's it. That's his unofficial job when he's at the diner, I guess.
Yeah.
So everybody helps clean up the toys, except Murray, who's still back working the diner, washing dishes and being grouchy, and Doc Holliday, whom they sent to order dinner. And now all that's left to do is figure out who's going to drive the sleigh, and it's chaos at the workshop. The two presidents and Uncle Sam are fighting like the Three Stooges. The Groundhog ate the naughty and nice list. Labor Day Amos leads the elves in a strike. And that is when Murray shows up with dinner, quickly hands out everything that everyone ordered.
Lincoln, here's your hot pastrami. Washington gets cold salami. Columbus asked for rigatoni. St. Pat ordered fried bologna. Piece of fish, sirloin steak, meat knish, carrot cake. And April Fool, I don't know why, ordered compact disc sunrise.
Yum.
And there it is. Edison realizes you, Murray, have to replace Santa tonight. But he refuses for an hour, we're told. It's please, no, please, no.
Please.
No.
Please.
No.
Please.
No.
That's another good bit, too.
That is a
I
good
like
bit.
that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Till Murray walks out and back to his diner to spend Christmas Eve alone, going through his old photos of him and his former lover, the Statue of Liberty.
What a catch.
Hey, man.
So it's at this point I should point out that this entire plot line was cut from the 30-minute version.
What? They cut this?
They cut this out. So in the 30-minute version, he's looking through his pictures and he stops on Murray Loves Kids, the picture of him playing with the children. That's where they stop. They cut that out. They cut everything else out, everything else after that out. And it's just a picture of him playing with the kids. And then Edison comes in and tries to convince him. They cut the entire plot line with Lady Liberty and Murray's origin story and everything completely cut.
See, now that's surprising to me because I would have some other suggested cuts that we can talk about once we get to them. I'm surprised.
I will confirm whether or not they're cut because I'm pretty sure we're thinking about the same part. And I will assure you it is in fact cut. Today was my first time seeing it.
Oh, good.
But yeah, the entire origin, which I thought was a really odd choice. Like,
yeah, that is odd because it's actually. It gives some motivation, and there's some heart involved in this as well. I think and I like the idea where it kind of explains why Murray would maybe be there because it turns out he was a holiday star as well.
I'm so surprised because even here, Edison goes, we get the old lights, please, and Murray gives him 60 seconds to explain why Murray should help save Christmas. And it all boils down to Christmas being a time to think of others instead of yourself before his minute's up, and Edison sadly starts to walk out, and Murray's looking back down on his book and the photo album with Libby is what he calls her, on their first Christmas together. And that's what makes him say, I'll do it.
Yeah.
30-minute version, it's just because he really likes kids and he doesn't want kids to be sad, which...
That is a strange choice. That is a really strange choice for me.
Yeah.
It's not bad, but that was a good plot point.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I will tell you, it's like watching two completely different specials. And I know that's a kind of a dumb thing to say because obviously, but there's so much added in the full length one that gets taken away, and this being one of them. And I think that to recognize, that Murray's been through some stuff. He's had a hard time. It gives you so much more context to, number one, why he's grouchy. Number two, why he's in the town in the first place.
Right.
And it really, I think, really just kind of sets everything up. I love a good origin story. And this, I think, did a really nice job of giving him some character development. And the 30-minute version just eschews all of that because who cares? It's a man who's saving Christmas. That's really all he is in the 30-minute version, is he's just some guy.
Huh.
So, yeah.
That's weird. That's really weird.
It is. It's very, very, it's incredibly strange.
Well, before we get to that origin story, we get a quick scene of Murray putting on Santa's suit, and it's too big, but there's no time, so he just deals with it, and off they go. And here comes a recurring joke through the rest of this. Murray can't remember the names of the reindeer.
Yeah, this is. I love his failed attempts at naming the reindeers. These are great.
Do you have a favorite wrong reindeer name?
Well, I kind of like when he gets into, I think it's the second time when he does it, when he actually mentions like Spock and Uhura.
Yep, that's mine.
There's Bambi and Rambo and Dopey and Doc, Scotty and Sulu, Uhura and Spock.
But I mean, obviously the Cosmo
and Kramer.
Yeah, like
that's
that
the
was
other one I wrote
down.
Hey, kids, it was on Seinfeld.
Right.
But yeah, Uhura and Spock got the biggest laugh out of me too. So yep.
And you know why that works is because he does 4 of them. He makes the 4 characters who have a connection. He makes that stanza. He makes it rhyme, and that's why it works so well.
Yeah,
right.
It was on Scotty and Sulu, Uhura and Spock, and it's got that cadence. Very great writing there.
Yeah.
He found 4 characters you could throw together, so it worked so well.
And this is one of the better versions of the wrong reindeer name joke, I think.
Yeah.
But no matter, what follows is a pretty standard series of mishaps I've come to expect every time a new Santa has to go down chimneys into strangers' houses.
Yeah.
He gets bitten by a dog, he knocks over a tree, he wakes up someone with a gun. These same things happen every time we see a new Santa. Establish some basic training.
Right. I mean, this is going back to my point of this is one of the most used plot lines in Christmas specials. And don't get me wrong, I like it. But this montage is in every one of those stories.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Mike, you've covered many of these.
Yes,
like, I think
have.
the Johnny Bravo special, he does this.
Oh, yeah.
And like, can you guys even think of like a favorite? I mean, there are so many films and specials that do the, well, for this one, I guess Bender is going to have to be Santa this year.
Anna Kendrick did it a couple of years ago in Noel, and that was played very, very well to her strengths.
I'm boring. I'm going to say the Santa Claus is my favorite.
That's
just
a good one.
Because when he comes down and he sees the little girl and he's all cranky and I'm giving you your presents. What's wrong with you? When you get to the end of the movie, he comes back. She recognizes him and she's like, there it is. So the fact that they made the crankiness and the being bad at Santa a plot point and then resolved it instead of just making it a gag really works for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm partial to the Nightmare Before Christmas one.
Oh, yes.
That's a really good one. But I'm amazed at how many of our childhood cartoons did this. Like everybody, like Yogi Bear probably did it, and Daffy Duck did it, and like
I like that wasn't said with any certainty. It was just, yep, Yogi Bear probably did it.
Like you can just list off. The only thing is, and Mike, thank God I'm on this show and you can verify this. It feels like the Fonz should have done this, but Happy Days, I don't think took that step. But
I don't know if it did, but I'm gonna find out. And if it did, I need to.
But by God, I really wish they would have done that. But man. This is just one of those things that it's such an easy way to tell a Christmas story by going, Santa's out of commission. You reluctantly now are the replacement, and you got to fill in for the night. And then, as you said, you get all of these stumbling down, falling down the chimney, dog biting you, chasing you across the living room. Like these montages are expected, but they're also required.
Yep.
And to be fair, I can't remember any other one where a guy actually shot at Santa. So that's fun.
Betty Fred, get me my gun. I like that.
Good. I was going to say, did I mishear that? Did he say Betty Fred?
No, that's what he sure did.
What was that noise?
Mice.
Oh, wait, who said that?
Cat.
Oh, Betty Fred, get my gun.
somewhere there's a Barney Wilma who's just living it up.
Well, in one house, Murray comes face to face with a very awake 6-year-old boy with the voice of Tress MacNeille, who quickly gets wise after asking him, "Do your Santa Claus laugh."
Do your Santa Claus laugh. Please, 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 please.
And kids, if you're meeting Santa and the first thing you ask him is, "Do your Santa Claus laugh?" You're wide awake in the middle of the night. You've had ample time to think about what you might want to ask Santa should you manage to still be awake when he arrives, and it's just, "Laugh for me, old man." And of course, Murray can't do it. He tries to tee. And what follows is him trying to laugh like Santa so much, his pants fall down.
As they do.
And he immediately says out loud, "Well, I'm going to jail."
So I think this scene between that joke and the use of Tress MacNeille was when I realized how Simpsons adjacent this special is, because I recognized the child's voice. I was like, wait a minute, that's the "Stop, he's already dead" kid. So so I did the search, and that's when I realized, wait a minute, Tress MacNeille, I recognized that name, and then tracked it back to Simpsons and realized that like every background voice who's not one of the main cast is somebody who does regular voices for the Simpsons.
Yup. And Murray, of course, is wearing his boxer shorts with his own name stitched on them. And y'all know me, my first thought is, Calvin Klein, it's written all over your underwear.
I have that in my notes that I was like, happy Back to the Future Day.
So now the kid's getting wise and tells quote-unquote Santa, "Name your reindeer." And here's where the Star Trek names are. And the kid concludes, "If you're a fake, Santa must be too. Not, oh no, there's a man I don't know in my house."
Priorities, Mike, priorities.
Yeah, well.
Isn't this the point, too, where Murray breaks kayfabe by saying wrestling is fake?
Yes, he does.
I don't have to tell you, I cursed at my TV when he said that.
And so to prove Santa is real, he shows the kid to slaying the reindeer on the roof, and that's enough for this kid to realize Murray's filling in for Santa this year, and seeing the smile slowly grow on the boy's face fills Murray with the Christmas spirit, and now we get a ho, ho, ho.
Ho, ho, ho!
I didn't know what to expect coming into this. I guess I was expecting a lot more of being Santa sure is hard. But it's actually a very small part of this special compared to look at this crazy holiday town.
Yeah, the actual Murray delivering presents is maybe, what would you say, 5-6 minutes of the whole special?
Not even.
Not even.
Murray actually saving Christmas now feels like the B-plot, but I don't mind.
No.
I do like the Grinch shout out as he brings the boy in and he patted his head and he fixed him a lean pastrami sandwich with coleslaw and a triple thick chocolate milkshake, and he sent him to bed.
Yeah.
It's the only time that they break the cadence.
And Dennis Haysbert nails it.
Mary brought the boy in and he patted his head, and he fixed him a lean pastrami sandwich with coleslaw and a triple thick chocolate milkshake, and he sent him to bed.
He does.
It's such a mouthful, figuratively and literally. But he completely nails it. I really loved that because it's so unexpected. But then it's like, oh yeah, this guy's like a diner chef, so of course he's going to be like, off to bed with you. Here's your pastrami sandwich and your milkshake.
Yeah, it fits. And later we see him having much better success around the globe, trying different treats left out for him in different countries, like a Yule log cake in France and fortune cookies in China. And raw fish in Sweden. Meanwhile, Santa wakes up from his concussion thinking he overslept and someone stole his suit and sleigh, so he calls the police. And it appears Stinky Cigars is a one-cop town patrolled by Officer Bender, voiced by John Ratzenberger.
Officer Bender, defender of laws. To whom am I speaking?
My name's Santa Claus.
Weirdo.
Now, let me jump in here. Let's go back, if you will, to the choice edits. The beginning of this sequence, this is where I would have chopped.
Everything you will be happy to know, everything after this until the reprise of You Gotta Believe, gone. Just non-existent. It was to the point that like I was watching and I was like, man, it's been a quick 42 minutes. And I looked and there's still like 20 some minutes left. And I felt like Stewie from Family Guy. I was like, what the devil is this? And so I'm watching this stuff I've never seen before. And of course, I know why.
Even the part with the cop?
This is where it was cut. Cop's gone.
Wow.
And it's funny because he's actually, if you look in your DVR listing, Ratzenberger's listed as being a voice, but the cop never shows up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, here he is. I was wondering when old Cliff would show up in the podcast. I half expected some Pixar thing, but here he is, Officer Bender, whose uniform as an officer of the Stinky Cigars Police Department is fantastic. He's got, it's a regular motorcycle cop outfit, and he's got a Christmas tree badge on his arm. He's got holly on his shoulder pads. He's got an Easter egg on his motorcycle helmet, a jack-o'-lantern belt buckle, and a candy cane striped billy club. And Santa reports his sleigh and reindeer stolen and then tries to find some way to get enough toys in time. So despite running a ruthless sweatshop, he's very committed to the Christmas Eve part of the job. He ends up putting on some long johns and a boot on his head. And the closest thing he can find to a sleigh is a little pink bicycle. So off he rides to any store that might be open at 3:45 on Christmas morning. Any store at all. And the only thing open at that hour in Stinky Cigars is a 24-hour convenience store. And oh no.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Behind the counter is a man in a turban who thinks Santa's here to rob the place. So he puts his hands in the air, all 8 of them, and identifies himself as Vishnu.
Ooh, yeah. This in, even though it's only 2014, this thing did not age well. Yeah, this is just so wrong.
And I think I have a note in here. Yeah, farther down on my page of notes is saying this could have been completely cut and everything would have been fine. And it sounds like it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First of all, completely shocked that Hank Azaria did not voice Vishnu.
No, it's Maurice LaMarche doing the voice here.
Yeah, so man, just not cool. And the thing is the 30-minute version has the montage of him giving presents around the world, and they've got the shot of him giving the 8 gloves to Vishnu, and even that I was like, wow, I can't believe they put that in there. Lo and behold, there was something way worse.
Oh yeah.
They even follow, and you know what? Even if they had just left it as okay, it's a deity from another religion. He's behind an Indian religion. He's behind the counter. Okay, we get what you're going for. But then they do the 8 arms bit where they just drag it out, where he's like, okay, put down your arms. Now the rest of them. Now your last 2. That was bad enough. But then the joke with the what's your name? Vishnu wouldn't shoot me. Like, guys, it's not okay.
No.
It's not okay at all.
That made 2014 feel both very recent and very distant at the same time.
Totally. Yeah, this is what I was saying, that if you wanted to tighten this thing up, this plot of Santa's kind of ad hoc attempt to still do his job, I think this is the weakest part of the story to me. I think obviously the Vishnu part is just completely inappropriate and shouldn't be here. But I just think in general, if you're thinking of time, like I think you could tighten up the story by removing this part.
Yeah, he's the only truly religious symbol in this town. As for holidays, Vishnu's connected with several in Hinduism, Two you might have heard of are Holi, the festival of colors in the spring, and Diwali, the festival of lights in November. But that's beyond the point. This is just out of nowhere for no reason, just because Mike Rice decided, well, he's at a convenience store. I'm going to go to my old standby, racism.
Yeah.
And if you were gonna do something like that, I mean, you could have done Diwali and done a pun with Diwali and Beaver, and then you've got your Canada Day mascot.
There you go.
I wouldn't have hated that as much.
Golden opportunity to do something clever to instead do something super racist.
I know. The only saving grace of this whole segment to me is when Santa's looking for stores to be open.
Salvador Dali's.
Thank you. Salvador Dali's is a great name.
I have that in my notes. I was like, we have to talk about Salvador's Dali's.
Yes.
Just a fantastic A+ joke.
Should have gone there. Oh, well, it was closed. So, yeah, Vishnu is Santa's last resort. So he buys everything in the store, including pens and office supplies and bobbleheads, whatever they can find that resembles a gift someone would want somewhere. So off Santa rides with a giant bag of gifts on his back on this tiny bike, and he immediately rides into a tree and knocks himself out.
That's where you find out that Santa's not great, because he has the line, gonna bring this garbage to the little brats, right before he smacks into the tree.
Yeah.
And you no longer feel bad for him. Like, you're
No.
like, good.
Like, shame.
Let Murray be Santa from now on.
Yeah, well, let's check in on Murray, and he's already done. Hooray! And now Edison's curious as to how he was able to finish the Christmas Eve ride faster than Santa ever had, and Murray tells him to look him up and find out on Google, or Bing, or Bingle, which is a search engine featuring a talking Bing Crosby avatar, and we might need to make that exist.
Yeah, that's a pretty fun little pun there. You're getting your little white Christmas sort of joke in.
Yeah, and if he wanted a picture of Murray, he could have used the abandoned Wikimedia Commons image searching tool, Danny K. Flower. You see that the Commons searching tool was called Mayflower. So.
Yeah.
Well done. Oh, wow. But what Edison does discover from Bingle is an old newsreel about a holiday we've never heard of before called Milkman's Day, which falls on August 12th. Yes, that's right, August, the hot, barren wasteland of the Gregorian calendar, had a holiday once.
Milk was a bad idea.
This is cut out too, Donnie?
Yep.
That's a shame.
It really is.
I like this segment for a lot of reasons. I like the absurdity of Milkman Day. I like the songs. All of this is great, and it adds to the story, his origin.
Yeah, so Murray was once Murray the Milkman, the mascot for Milkman's Day, who would throw bits of cheese to excited children watching the annual Milkman's Day parade.
He's the Easter Bunny of butter.
Yes. But no one gets their milk delivered to them in glass jars anymore, so the whole holiday got forgotten, which is quite thought-provoking. This is the opposite of what happened to Christmas, which has become this amalgamation of holy traditions and just straight-up weird stuff from around the world, and I love that about it. I'd rather have baby Jesus be very confused about why we're hanging plastic ornaments with pictures of other TV characters on them than to just have an entire holiday fade into obscurity.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of an interesting plot point, and I'm so stunned that they would cut this. I think this feels vital to the story.
Yeah.
The only thing I could come up with, because I tried to figure it out, is that perhaps maybe the song is too quote unquote blue, because they have the line, "He's the man for me, gives me vitamin D," and I was just, is that a reference to I know we try to keep things PG around here, Mike. So I'm, but is that are they making a reference to slang that has become common for being sexualized? I'm not sure.
I didn't even think that, even though it does sound like that one Christina Aguilera song.
He's idolized because he's pasteurized. He's the man for me, he gives me vitamin D. Murray, 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 sling that counters right to my door.
Yeah, I didn't go there. I mean, I see where you're coming from, but
yeah,
believe me, I didn't think that that's where they were going, but it was like, there's got to be some reason they cut this. Let me grasp at straws and find something.
Yeah, you coming from the angle of this was cut, I don't know why, then that would pop out to me probably.
Yeah.
Right.
I want to mention a sign gag during the parade. It's during the black and white newsreel, and there's a store called Sid's Flat Screen Radios.
I missed that. Oh, that's fantastic.
Because it's old. That's all. Great joke. But having his holiday forgotten made Murray very sour, very angry, and caused him to shout at his love interest, Libby, that he didn't want to see her anymore because he was upset that he became nothing while she was a national treasure. I think he said, I put her on a figurative pedestal on top of her literal pedestal.
Which is a good joke.
Yeah. And Edison tells Murray he proved tonight he's not nothing. He delivered gifts to every good child. And that makes Murray stop, think, and then ask, what about the bad kids? If Christmas truly is about giving, we should give them something too. So he does, including a kid who drove his dad's car into the pool, and a girl who just as a joke popped a bag behind Grandpa and gave him a stroke? That's how I'm going, guys.
There's worse ways.
Yeah. But why stop there? Murray then proceeds to give gifts to people of other religions. So here's where we see Vishnu, and if you're Donnie, we're seeing him for the first time and wondering, what? And Buddhists and Muslims and a pair of Jewish men because they needed to rhyme Hindus, so they said to fat and to thin Jews, who, by the way, have a holly wreath on the window shaped like the Star of David. That was neat.
Why not?
So does this mean Santa usually brings a bunch of extra toys in his bag? Are they spares?
And does Santa, that is a little confusing now that I'm, because really, what are we guessing then? That is more than half the population he's not usually serving?
Which ridiculous movie was it that had the bag was an entrance to a pocket dimension? Was that the Kurt Russell one on Netflix?
Yeah, the Christmas Chronicles.
Christmas Chronicles, yeah. So maybe that's where, but that was, that's pre-2000, that's post-2014.
Technically another movie where someone subs in for Christmas.
Yeah. Maybe Santa's got some access to some kind of pocket dimension of some sort and can get the bad kids some presents.
I mean, it was a pretty big bag. I mean, let's just say here, it was a pretty giant bag. But you're right. Why are you filling up that amount if you're usually going to be leaving out all those other people?
It's not an exact science, Michael.
It is truly. I am looking for logic where there just is none.
Filling up a bag with presents is not an exact science.
Nope, just fill it. Just fill it. No matter, Murray and Edison arrive back in Stinky Cigars as the sun rises on Christmas morning, just in time to get pulled over by Officer Bender, who asks to see Murray's license, drivers, pilots, poetic. That last one's important because it's the officer who finally calls out everyone's rhyming through this whole thing. Because it takes him 4 hours to do paperwork because he can't find a rhyme for aggravated assault.
Great joke.
The only form of ID Murray has on him is his name stitched on his underwear. So Officer Bender searches Santa's bag to find just one toy in there. And oh yeah, it's Chekhov's boxing glove in the Jack-in-the-Box.
Right.
Which now knocks out the cop. So Murray and Edison ride into town, and all the other holidays and the elves are there waiting to find out how it went. And here comes our finale, because it's time to play on Christmas Day.
Oh, it's time to play.
Why?
It's Christmas Day.
That's right.
Oh, it's time to play.
And the elves do the Peanuts dance, and the groundhog sees his shadow early, but they got it wrong. He says that means it's going to be an early spring, but that's supposed to mean 6 more weeks of winter.
Boo.
And reluctantly, Murray sings a verse, and they make it awkward for no reason by going all in on Now I'm Happy and Gay on Christmas Day.
Now I'm happy and gay.
When?
On Christmas Day. Yes, I'm ever so gay.
When?
On Christmas Day.
Yeah, this is painful, but it's dragged out. It's so long. This little bit here. Once again, another one of those jokes that you're like, this is 2014?
Like, if they mentioned it once, and then, because it's next lines, I don't mean it in that way, but that way's okay, but they decided to drag it out even longer than the Vishnu's arms bit.
Yeah, like they pull at this joke for a while. I mean, so much so that at least you get kind of the post punchline where it's like, do you want to get out of here? And he's like, yeah, like 10 minutes ago. Like, that's how, I mean, he even like Murray's even understanding that it's like, yeah, this is getting a little weird.
And it's got to be a callback to kind of the Sideshow Bob gag where he steps on the rakes. And it's like, if you do it 1 or 2 times, it stops being funny. But if you just keep doing it, it becomes funny again. It's got to be that's just the way that they do comedy, because it happens like 3 or 4 times in this special where they just drag jokes out past the point of reason.
Yeah.
That's what he's trying to do, but it never gets funny again here. It's like we're ending our Christmas special with a not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, that's where I kind of sensed it, because I was like, okay, it's Jerry Stiller. We're kind of referencing a Seinfeld joke, but it really goes on long, and it's doesn't land really well, and it's inappropriate, and it's you're right. It's so close to the final scene of the special. It's an odd choice.
And I'll be honest, that was that's what stuck out most in my mind about this special was that one joke. It's so I don't want to say bad, because I don't even think it's nothing. Like it's so nothing that it's not even bad. It's just so dragged out, and it so hurts the flow of it grinds the special to a halt.
Totally, yeah.
Because it goes on for so long, and it's so out of place from everything else that's going on that I'll be honest, I almost deleted the special the first time I watched it back in 2016. I almost just deleted it, but it stayed on there for 5 years because I can't get rid of anything, and so it all kind of worked out in the end.
Yeah,
but
they kept that part in.
Yeah,
that once again, weird choice, but it's not funny. Like, that's the thing about it. It's just not funny. And to make that be literally in the final scene is just strange.
It must be something that Mike Rice thinks is genuinely funny still. And again, I bring him up. He was a Simpsons showrunner because recently there has been a supercut video made of every LGBT joke ever told on The Simpsons, and it's over 2 hours long.
Whoa.
Is the whole episode with the tchotchke salesman in there?
Oh, yeah.
They just put
Everyone. It's put together by Drew Mackey for his podcast, Gayest Episode Ever. I have not watched the whole thing in a single sitting, but it is absolutely worth checking out. So after that...
Well, before we move to the next thing, I do want to say that the one saving grace of this song, and it may have been, I didn't notice it in the first version of You Gotta Believe, but in the reprise, the chorus of Father Times, each Father Time represents a different decade. And I thought that was a really subtle note to throw in there.
Yeah.
And they don't make a big deal about it, but I mean, there's an 80s guy in his high top shoes and tattoo. Maybe he's 90s guy. I don't know. But there's a 70s guy. I think there's a 60s guy, and there's like a 50s guy. So I thought that was a really neat character choice when they were designing those characters.
Yeah, I guess they're supposed to represent Father's Day. There's no Father's Day in here other than these guys. But yeah, that is a very, very subtle joke. But I'm glad that you pointed it out. I forgot to write it down, but now that you mentioned it, I did notice that, and it was pretty brilliant. But yeah, after that awkward moment at the end of the song that didn't need to exist, Murray starts up the sleigh again. They go, "You want to get out of here?" Yeah. Only to stop at the sight of his long-lost love, Libby. Did they cut that out?
Yep.
So they could squeeze in the gay verse.
They wanted so badly to cut that out that she's not in the shot at all. Like, they scrubbed her from the panel.
Oh.
And when the sleigh flies off, she's not sitting in the sleigh. Just it flies off and that's it. She's gone.
They put in extra work to get her out of there. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Libby comes back. She heard Murray saved Christmas and came back because that's the Murray she used to know. Joins him and Edison as they drive out of sight on Santa's sleigh for some reason. They just got back. But then we get a quick epilogue that reveals Edison is now selling his inventions on the Elf Shopping Network. And Libby's working with Murray at the diner. And our Dennis Haysbert voiced narrator is revealed to be Baby New Year. And we get a very important message in the sky. Don't forget, August 12th is Milkman Day.
That's right.
Bringing it back.
Put it on my calendar.
And then Bastille Day sings the French national anthem over the credits.
Allons enfants de la patrie, le jour de gloire est arrivé.
This thing has more endings than Return of the King.
I know. It's like 6 endings on this thing.
But we're out. We made it.
We did it.
If you want to watch this for yourself, you can find it if you look for it. Looks like it used to be available to stream by NBC, but not currently. Maybe they'll put it up on Peacock this year. We shall see. But any final thoughts on How Murray Saved Christmas?
I think it's worth checking out. I think it is really bizarre, really silly, but as I said, it is a bit of a love letter to just Christmas specials in general. It completely embraces the tropes. It has nods to, the Peanut special, the Grinch, as we've kind of mentioned, and I just think this town of all of the holiday icons is just such a unique idea and a fun idea to just go out and kind of like do as we've talked about, is just kind of like seek them out and press pause and figure out who the different characters are. If you're a holiday geek, I think you owe it to yourself to watch this one. It's fun.
And for me, I would not have thought that a 1 hour special built entirely around background gags from The Simpsons and songs that were cut from Christmas episodes of The Simpsons would have worked as well as it does. But it really does. And I think if you can get around the two really just not gonna work in 2021 jokes and not gonna work in 2014, if we're being perfectly honest, jokes, then there's a lot of really good stuff here. It's absolutely worth watching. There's it's not for kids. I will say that. No. I really don't think that a child is going to sit and appreciate this. This is not something that you throw on during the holidays.
My kids love it. Maybe it's
really.
Maybe it's just that rapping Easter bunny. That might be it.
And his gang of peeps, which I thought was a nice little.
That was a great Easter bunny gang.
But yeah, maybe I'm wrong. I don't have kids, but maybe I'm wrong that kids would enjoy it. But I thought there was so much in there that there's so many jokes that are made to have adult knowledge to get them that I can't imagine it being a huge favorite of kids everywhere. But it's got a lot of really good stuff in there. There's a lot of really good gags. I cackled at the Three Stooges bit.
Yes.
And maybe it was just because today was my first time seeing it, because I'd become so accustomed to not seeing it in there. It was new to me, but I cackled at that. I thought that was great. the Salvador Dali's joke. It was so A+. But yeah, there's a lot of good in there. It's really worth checking out. It's a shame that those two jokes really seemingly have booted it from the regular rotation.
Yeah, despite those glaring off-color jokes that have no reason to be in there and were gladly cut from it, and rightly cut from it. Everything else that does work in this worked well. It's very charming. If they can create some sort of cut that brings Libby back into it and boots out those other parts that we don't need, that would be fantastic.
Hashtag release the Libby cut.
Hashtag release the Libby cut.
Yes.
Well, thank you again for getting me to watch this. It's been educational.
I'm glad you finally did it, Mike. I wore you down after 3 years.
We finally reached the fireworks factory.
Well, on that note, if people want to give you a jack-in-the-box that punches people in the face, where can they find you on the internet, Donnie?
I have Twitter. That is Boxcar45. Also, my band has a SoundCloud. The band is Bronwyn's Ghost. So it's just soundcloud.com/BRONWENSGHOST. We do original stuff, but right now all that's up there is some fun Misfits covers. So yeah, go check them out.
And they are fun. Highly recommend. And Michael.
If you like the sound of my voice, you can hear me on the podcast, The Classic Film Jerks and the Pop Culture Retrofit Podcast. Search on all the podcasting platforms and the social medias, and you'll find us.
Yes, thank you both again. And if you want to find out more about all the tangents and rabbit holes we went down today, check out the show notes or find this episode at adventcalendar.house. You can follow me on Twitter at FallWestMike. Tune in again in a couple of days for a new Scrooge Sunday edition of the Advent Calendar House. Till then, for Donnie Storms and Michael DiGiovanni, from the depths of a circular trench I created by pacing in the circle for hours, this is Mike Westfall saying, careful of the icy patch.
And so ends our story. That's all that you get. I'd love to say more, but my diaper's wet. Happy New Year, y'all.
And now, these messages.
Hi everyone, I'm Dwayne from the Tinsel Tunes podcast, and I have a questionably unhealthy obsession with Christmas, and I love Christmas music. So come with me on a journey as I go into detail about the history and stories behind a wide range of Christmas music. For instance, did you know that Silent Night has the honour of being the most recorded Christmas song of all time, and has been recorded over 137,000 times by separate artists? Or that White Christmas was actually written in the height of summer. Each song, either recent or a golden oldie, has a background, and I want to share them with you. Come join us for our second season and listen at tinseltunes.com. We are on all the main podcast services, or you can find us with a simple Google search. Also follow us on all the social networking platforms, and I hope to interact with you soon.
Next time on the Advent Calendar House...